Welcome to the Wicked Kitchen. Today, I'm gonna show you one of my favorite things that I'm so obsessed with, and you guessed it, it's mushrooms. And today I found some amazing blue oyster mushrooms here in Tucson, and I'm gonna show you how to make this. I don't wanna swear, but I want to. It is a garlic, butter, steak, and mashed potato, with a peppercorn mushroom sauce. It's gonna be amazing, guys. Stay tuned. All right, for this recipe, we're gonna do some mashed potatoes, and I'm gonna do them a little bit on the healthier side. So rather than just using butter and plant-based butter and cream that normally you would do it, we're gonna make this part the healthier part of the dish. So it's not a very common thing to have healthier mashed potatoes. So how I'm gonna do that is I have a half a head of cauliflower, and I'm just gonna do a quick chop. I'm gonna leave the stem on, just like this, and I'm gonna pop it right into this pan. What we're gonna make is a cauliflower garlic cream sauce, more like a garlic cream that we can add to the mashed potatoes instead of the butter and the regular fatty items. And it's gonna be just as amazing, just using plants. So I get that prepped up here. I'm gonna add about, I already peeled some garlic, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll do 5 cloves of garlic. Fill this up with water. I'm gonna use a bay leaf. I have said in the past, like my house in England, I have a whole bay leaf tree, so it's really weird to have to pay for dry bay leaves. But there I am doing it, because this is a lockdown edition. Okay, so all I did was fill it to the water just to cover the cauliflower, fill it with water. I'm gonna add a little bit of a pinch of salt, and then put this right on the stove to boil. So while the cauliflower is boiling, I'm gonna prep the potatoes. So I'm not gonna peel the potatoes today. I'm gonna do more of a rustic potato. And I have one sweet potato, so we'll do a little bit of a blend of sweet potato and regular Yukon. So how I like to do the potatoes, if I'm not gonna peel them, I've already washed them ahead of time. So what I like to do is cut them in half, cut into chunks size like this. And then because I don't want all that skin, and that skin's gonna stay together when you mash them, I just drag the knife along the sides and then add them in. So what that does is it'll give you smaller pieces of skin, but the skin will still be in there. But it'll break up. When you're smashing them, it'll break up nicely. So we're gonna do the same thing to all these potatoes. So for the sweet potato, I am gonna peel this because the skin it'll be too chewy in the mash. So just take off the tips, like that. And then I use a knife. You can use a potato peeler, but I like to practice and play with the knife. So just going all the way down. And I like you can practice mindfulness with this, whereas just trying to do it in one sweeping stroke rather than having, to keep doing like this. It's good to just play with the knife, practice knife skills. And then I'm just gonna cut it in a little bit bigger chunks, just like that. And add this to the pot of potatoes. And so now I'll just cover this with water. I covered it with water, and now I'm just gonna add a couple cloves of garlic right to the batch. So I got 4 cloves of garlic here, just for a little bit more flavor. And I'm just gonna do a quick, still want them big, because I don't wanna drain them off when I drain the water. I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna add a good pinch of salt. And then I'm gonna put these on the water, I'm gonna put these on the stove to boil. All right, so we're gonna get right into the mushrooms now. My favorite part, we're gonna make these into steaks. So we're gonna do the garlic butter steak. And these are some beautiful, gorgeous blue oyster mushrooms I got from BKW right down the street. So I am, as we all know, I'm held up in Tucson, Arizona at the moment. And these guys, I was calling all around trying to find them because I couldn't find them in any stores. So these guys just happened to be, it was a short drive, and they are beautiful. So all organic mushrooms, and they were pretty inexpensive too. So we're all about supporting mushroom growers, you guys. So check these guys out, BKW. In the UK, Smithy Mushrooms is who we work with. But until I can get back there, we're gonna go with these. So to prep these, I am gonna do quite a few of them because I'm planning to have leftovers. So we'll use 2 or 3 for this recipe, but I wanna make these extra because the video after this that we're gonna do tomorrow, we're gonna use the steaks cold, and I'm gonna show you how to do something wicked cool, but you'll have to wait to see that one. So just to clean these, there's just this little bit of a nub from where it was growing right off the substrate. So I'm just gonna trim that off, and that's it. That's not even that much, just to make sure there's no straw. Like that. So very little cleaning. And just being delicate with the mushroom not to break the mushroom, because I want the steaks. So I'll clean all these up and then we'll start pressing. Okay, so we got these cleaned up. I have my trusty cast iron. I'm getting one of them and let that pan get wicked hot. So the cauliflower's boiling away. The potatoes they're almost boiling. The pan, I believe, is hot enough. Let me check. I have a little bit of sherry we're gonna use. Yeah, okay, so that is going really, it's hot enough for me to start the mushrooms. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. Make sure that's coated on the bottom of the pan. So we are doing quite a few of these. I have 6 mushrooms to press, so the steaks. All right, so we'll get that going. So I'm gonna place it directly stem side down because I want that side to cook the most. I think I can probably fit 3 in here comfortably. And these mushrooms they're absolutely gorgeous. And we are selling these in Tesco, the brown oyster. These are blue oyster. There's so many different varieties of oyster mushrooms. I'm finding the gray, the blue, and the brown are really some of the best to be making steaks out of. You can also use the pink and the yellow. You just get a little different result with each mushroom. So I'm gonna let that press just start to sear a little bit before we start to press it. All right, so when you start to hear that real sizzle is a good time to start pressing it. And I want, because these mushrooms right here, a lot of the mushrooms, sometimes the petals will lean one way or the other. So I always want to go with that grain to press it in a way that's just gonna really solidify the mushroom and not make it look too crazy. The more together it is, the better it is for me. So just rest the pan on here for now, and then we'll slowly start to press it. And you know, funny thing about working with these blue oyster mushrooms, it's reminding me of growing up listening to the Blue Oyster Cult, and all I can think about is how we need more cowbell. So the cauliflower has been boiling away. I don't know if you can see it from there, but I'm just going to shut that off now. I know, because I've done it enough time, that it's all cooked off. So I'm just going to let that sit and cool down, and we'll use that after I get done pressing everything. Speaking of cowbell, I think we got tongue. All right, so this is still the first press, right? I'm gonna lift this pan up. Now you don't have to use 2 cast iron pans. I do recommend it because I enjoy it. I find the best result from using these cast iron pans. But I have been known to use like a little bit of water in another pot to press it. Just making sure the bottom of that other pot is really clean is what I want to do. These are good, so I always have a towel nearby that you can just wipe the bottom with. Place that down. So we are going to flip this over, and you can see how brown it's really getting nicely browned and even around it, and that's really important. So I want to press that down, flip it over. Just want to be careful with the mushrooms. See, they're all getting like that. So just a really easy, quick tip is I try to keep, because the most dense part of the mushroom is the stem, and the most heat is coming to the edge of the pan, I try to keep the edge of the stem closer to the, I try to keep the stem closer to the edge of the pan. So now one of the key things with the second press here is I still haven't seasoned it at all. We'll season it in a little bit, but because I don't want to get stuck on the bottom of the pan. But this press will probably exude the most water from the mushroom. So I'll let it sit like this for a minute before I add a little bit more pressure. And what's happening, like the sponge, mushrooms have so much water content. By pressing it, it's just leaching out all that water and it's evaporating. And so what we're gonna end up doing is it's gonna suck in all that oil and flavor and seasoning after we get out the water. You can hear the sizzle and it's stopped in the pan. That's because there's so much water content that's come out. So I'll give you a quick look at this. Yeah, so you can see the water has been coming off. So that's literal mushroom water that's been growing with the mushroom. That we want to keep it in there. I don't want to drain it off. If you're cooking lion's mane the same way, a lot more water might come out of that, and people are tempted to pour it off. Leave it in there and let it evaporate. It will evaporate. So now that that water's come off, I'm going to press it again. And add a little bit more pressure. So I know, because it had so much water coming off, that it wasn't searing so much, right? So now with the water evaporating, now is when it can start browning and caramelizing and really getting the flavors that I'm looking for. So by adding a little bit more pressure, it's pushing out a little bit more of the water. We're flattening the mushroom a little bit more. All the petals are coming together, it's starting to form the marbling. All right, so you're gonna wanna use an extra towel because this pan tends to get hot. So I'll be lifting this up like this, wiping this down so I can place it. You can see it hasn't seared as much as I would like it to because of all the water that's come out of it. But we are forming these steaks, which are amazing, and they look, it's perfect the way they're going. Just want to make sure I pull them apart from the pan a little bit. This is why it's important to use a little bit of oil for this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit more oil. Remember, this is oil on each of the corners here. Switch that around so I know it's getting underneath it. Now I am going to start seasoning it. So because we're doing a garlic pepper steak, I'm going to use a little bit of the granulated garlic. I'm going to use a little bit of a regular black pepper that I have that's already been ground. And a little bit of the salt. Pinch of the smoked paprika, a pinch of this onion powder I have. So really simple flavors. You can play with different blends. Turn this over. So you can see it has started to brown now with that extra added oil. Now I am going to press it. I'm just going to, this pan is hot now because it's been sitting on it. I'm just gonna give it a quick, it doesn't take a lot of pressure, just a little bit here and there. So these don't need a lot of pressing. I'm just gonna cook it like this. I'm gonna season the top part, same amount of seasoning, same one. A little bit of the garlic powder, a little bit of the onion powder, salt, and the black pepper. The water has gone, it's evaporated, and you can see there's no more oil, so the mushroom's soaking up the oil. I want that fatty feel because I'm trying to replicate what a steak would taste like. So that is the fat that I want the mouthfeel. I'm gonna add a little bit more. And then I'm gonna flip these over. And get them nice and brown. So I'm not going to press these anymore. I kind of want that a little bit thicker. I'm going to let that cook. I'm going to check the potatoes because they're pretty much in a rapid boil. And to check the potatoes, I'm just seeing if I can, no, they're not done yet, almost. But I'll leave the cover on in just a couple more minutes for the potatoes. Okay, so this is what I have right here. This is 3/4 of the way done. I'm not totally finished yet because I have some more things I want to do with these. But I'm gonna do the rest of the mushrooms just like this. So I have 3 more to go. And you can see how gorgeous these are. And then we'll finish the dish. Let me plow through these and we'll be right back. All right, so we have the mushrooms done. Now I have more than I actually need for this meal because I'm saving some for the next one, and we'll show you something different with that. But these ones, I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna start on the cauliflower sauce that's gonna help us make the mashed potatoes. I keep losing my mind. I'll be right back. So we have the cauliflower bowl here. I'm just removing the bay leaf. And I'm gonna add the cauliflower right to the Vitamix here. All you need is a super high-speed blender. It doesn't have to be a Vitamix, but I do like these. I've always worked with them. Just really puts out a nice end result, really super silky soft. So if you don't have one of these high-speed blenders, just blend it for a little bit longer, a minute extra or so. Make sure you get the garlic. So I'm gonna add a little bit of the water. Not much. Big fan of the Oatly. I'm just gonna add a touch of this. No, I don't need a lot because I want this to be really thick. So just a little bit. I'm gonna add some black pepper and a little bit of salt. You just gotta want to blend that for a couple minutes till it's super smooth. All right, that's it. I'm gonna add the sauce right back to the pan just to hold it in something. So you can see it's a really good thick consistency. And this is gonna help us make mashed potatoes amazing. All right guys, we're close to finish. So we just finished the garlic cream sauce. It's gonna go in the mashed potato. Now we have to strain off the potatoes. They've been just sitting on the stove. They are totally done, still hot. I'm just gonna strain these off and come back, and we'll be right back again. All right, so we drained all the water off the potatoes. Now I'm just gonna mash away. I bought a trusty masher for $5 down at the local store. Just gonna mash that. Just to make sure all the clumps are, and being really careful because it is freaking hot, so. Try to keep it in the pot. Okay, so once I get it all mashed, roughly mashed like this, and it's what, oh yeah, man, I suck. I keep dropping things. And I'm just gonna add the same amount I would do if I was using like heavy cream or butter. Like this is a really great no oil recipe for mashed potatoes, you guys. So we're going a little bit more wicked on the other stuff, but the potatoes are healthy, so you can really feel good about however much you're eating them. It's just garlic, cauliflower, potatoes. So I'm just gonna smash that and start to get a feel for how the consistency that I want them. And you know, this was a perfect amount, so I'm gonna add all of it. So that's the entire, so that's a whole half a head of cauliflower. And for a good measure, I'm gonna add a little bit more black pepper. Because I like black pepper in there, and I like the salt, so another pinch of salt in there. And we're just gonna whip these up. And that sweet potato's gonna add that extra little bit of flavor and also really make it a nice, beautiful color. So look at that, that's gorgeous. One, it's beautiful. Perfect consistency. Let's have a taste, make sure. Delicious. Okay. So I'm gonna set these aside. I'll put the cover on it and we'll finish up with the veg and the sauce. All right guys, so I have a little bit of asparagus. We're gonna do asparagus with this dish, and asparagus doesn't take long to cook. But I wanna use all the flavor we have from that pan. I haven't touched that pan. All I did was set it aside to cool it down. I'm gonna heat that flame back up to a medium-high heat and heat this same pan that we pressed all those delicious mushrooms with all that amazing spice and rub and just the flavor in there. It's super exciting. I'm salivating thinking about this because those mashed potatoes are delicious. So I'm gonna get that hot, and while that's heating up, will give me a chance to prep the mushrooms. And I've never used white button mushrooms before, but I'm gonna use it because I want this sauce to be a nice clean as we can get the white sauce. So I'm just gonna do a quick dice of the mushrooms. Okay, so that's nice and good. Split those up a little bit, make sure they're all apart. So we have that ready. All right, so for the asparagus, I'm just gonna add that right to the hot cast iron. I'm not gonna do much to it, but I am gonna add butter because we are doing it's a garlic butter white wine, a garlic butter steak, right? And you'll see, I'm just gonna add a tablespoon of butter right to it. And that's gonna help asparagus doesn't take long at all, maybe a minute or two, and you just want that color to really pop green. I like it to be really al dente. I'm gonna add just a pinch of salt, not much, and a pinch of the black pepper. All right, so that's it for this. I'm just gonna put the asparagus right on here. So now we have the asparagus looking beautiful. I'm gonna add, and I want this pan, it's still hot, I'm gonna add these mushrooms back to it for a minute. Because it's a garlic butter steak, I'm gonna take a couple cloves of garlic, quick slice. All right, and just break it apart. It should come apart really easy. All right, so quick chop. That's it. And that's going right into the pan. I'm gonna add a little bit more of the butter. So at this point, I'm gonna add, so I have these mushrooms over here. I'm gonna push these to the side, and I am gonna add these to this corner here. The bigger mushrooms, I'm just gonna do a quick flip, making sure that that's getting all the nice flavors. Okay, so then I'm gonna pull these off. You can see that, it smells delicious. I'm gonna put this back on the pan like this. I'm gonna add a little bit of sherry. So it's not much. like a good shot. Saute up that just for a minute. Burn off some of the sherry. All those flavors from that steaks are still coming up. We have the garlic, the butter in there. It's looking nice. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of the butter. I mean, not butter. Flour. I'm going to sprinkle some flour. Not much, just a light dusting. And I'm going to use the whisk and just start whisking that in there. So that'll start bringing all the flavors together, and it's just a very small, light version of a roux right in the pan. I have some fresh thyme here, so I'm just pulling the fresh thyme apart, adding that right into it. Beautiful. I'm going to whisk in some of the Oatly. Just keep whisking. Okay, and I don't want to forget, I did grind some fresh peppercorns. So I'm going to add a good amount of that, so 2 nice sized pinches, maybe 3. I want it to be really peppery. Add a little bit more Oatly. And then this will be done in a minute. As soon as it starts to thicken up, it's a beautiful, perfect gravy. Okay, that's coming along very nicely. And I like to do this one dish kind of last minute. So the sauce is going. I'm just going to lower the heat a little bit while I plate it up so it's still really bubbling beautifully. I have the mashed potatoes here. So I have a little bit of the mash. Right in the middle. I have the one steak, which is looks amazing, and that's going right over the potatoes like that. And then I have some of these asparagus. Now this is no fancy pants dining place. I'm gonna add a good healthy amount of asparagus to the dish. Right to it. Guys, this is it. I always like to finish this well with a little garnish, a little bit of fresh thyme on there. You guys, that right there is wicked garlic butter steak with a mushroom peppercorn sauce. A little bit of side of asparagus on there, some amazing sweet potato and Yukon potato mashed. This is a game changer, you guys. You're gonna love it when you try it. Thanks a lot for following. Stick around because the next video we're putting out is gonna be this next one that we're using the extra mushrooms with. So you're gonna wanna see that. Don't forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, all notifications come up when the new videos come out. And we really appreciate the support. And if you guys know mushroom growers, please let them know. We're trying to support all mushroom growers to grow more mushrooms. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. It's gonna be a little bit more. It's for a special occasion. No, it's not. Sorry. Start over. Gravy is freaking beautiful.